I overhauled myself. The pandemic was awful. It was like seeing 10 years worth of work slipping through my fingers. It's incredible how you can lose 10 years in 2 months. Everything was running through my head. It was really unfair. I could say the pandemic was the final lesson I learned. It taught me a lot and I learned a bunch. Discipline is learning to say no. It's your goal and that's it. I preferred to seem boring and antisocial than to give up on my project. If people are calling you boring, it means you're on the right track. And even when you succeed and your project is a success, they'll keep criticizing you anyway, because people want you to do well, but not better than them. Everyone was laughing at me and my dream was only 10% of what I achieved. Crazy. I remade myself. I lost 17 franchises during the pandemic. Since they were failing just like me, I cancelled the contracts and lost them. I lost a beautiful barbershop in the Soleil shopping center. I lost the one in the Terraza shopping center. I lost another distributor that was next door where I wanted to give a course. I had to spend my savings, and not only did I lose everything, but I also went into debt because I still had to pay rent and I had to take out loans from the bank that I have to pay back until the year 2022. What a crazy situation. My last hope was to sell Marquito's car. With that money, we were able to remodel the barbershop and set up the streaming room, and that allowed us to start over again. What does this teach me? You have to keep going and keep going and keep going. They will put 1,000 obstacles in your way, but there's no other way to live. That's business. You must keep going. The pandemic was a desperate time. It felt like 10 years of hard work slipped through my fingers. Every day I had to make the difficult decision to close businesses, or the franchisees of the 17 franchises I had would tell me they were going broke. Well, I had to release the contracts because I was going broke too. It was nuts having to move, lose clientele, take out loans all at once, losing everything. It's amazing how in 2 months you lose 10 years. My head was spinning. It was really unfair. Plus, I went through a stretch where I thought I was a hotshot businessman and I got caught playing chin-chan. I was acting like I had 11 and 12 and they cut me down by 10. It took me down hard. One business wasn't even open for a month. It was madness. I could say that the last bit of teaching came from the pandemic. It showed me a lot and I learned a ton. Well, as you'll see, I'll tell you the losses and the wins. Not just the wins, but the losses count too. 1,000 things go through your head because you have a lot of projects, a lot of stuff, and watching it all slip away was painful. I failed 1,000 times. I learned from those failures, and that's what I applied to Navajas. Before opening Navajas, after the last failure, I went south to find my dreams, my projects. When I was down south and lost everything, I realized that if I returned to Buenos Aires, I'd fail at what I liked, barbering. Then that's when I came back, determined to do what I loved, what I'd always studied. I threw myself into barbering, and that's when I applied all my failures and assembled a disciplined team. That's how I put together Navaja. Discipline is learning to say no, it's your goal, and then there's nothing else. No clubs, no distractions. Anything that steers you off course, say no to it. It happened to me with reggaeton artists who, after I cut their hair, wanted me to continue their tour with their show. I preferred to come off as a killjoy and a bore and not leave my project. If you're being labeled as boring, it means you're on the right track. There are 1,000 distractions, 1,000 tests that will make you want to abandon your project, and only you will need to have that discipline to be able to continue with your project and your path. Don't share your project with anyone, no matter how crazy it may seem. You're in charge of your own madness, your own project. Nobody's going to fight for it like you. What usually happens is when you have a project and an idea and you finally feel confident, you approach someone hoping they'll encourage you to move forward, only to bring you down. This happens all the time. You need validation. You want them to tell you they like it, that they're with you, but instead you're faced with criticism, that it's useless, that it won't work, and when you do succeed and your project is a success, they'll continue to criticize you because people want to see you do well, but not better than them. Imagine when I talked about the razor project before I even started the barbershop in the neighborhood. Everyone laughed at me and my dream was a mere 10% of what I achieved. Mind-blowing. Everyone mocks you, doesn't believe you. Well, it was indeed a very ambitious project. So I'm pretty stoked about it. Don't expect people to back your project, just do it. With you alone, don't share anything, and don't expect anyone to accompany you, because ultimately these are your projects and you have to put in the effort and your strength. So that's what I can tell you about a project, your discipline and your dreams. Keep going, that's the path. After high school, I automatically started studying hairdressing. There wasn't any barbering, which was what I liked the most. Since hairdressing paid very little at that time, I dedicated myself to any other job except what I liked. With so many failures, I realized that it didn't make sense to fail at what I liked. And that's when I started my barbering project and got started with all of this. I wasted 10 years working on anything else when I really should have been working on what I liked, on my project. That's what I recommend. Don't give up on your dream. Don't give up on what you like. Focus on your project, go for it, and don't share it. Keep it to yourselves for you. I can assure you that if you fight for your dreams, you will receive a reward, because if you look at how I kicked off with a wall of tongue and groove paneling, the broken glass that I asked some colleagues to lend me, plastic chairs that I had in the backyard of my house, that is, the tongue and groove paneling was my piece, my room. I split it so I could cut there. Imagine what Navajas is like today, starting like that, right? Really down on his luck, but really down on his luck. That's why I give you all these tips about discipline, about having a purpose, about life, because there's a reward for it. Every day I'm proud to have been able to get out of there, to have been able to buy a roof over my kids' heads, who all lived in that room next to the barber shop, renting after 1,000 failures in the South. It's all very fulfilling, so I recommend it. Looking at that whole picture today, what I realize is that when you're at the bottom of the sea with a goal, with a dream, you find strength from wherever to make it happen, as long as you're willing to do that. If you look at the place today where the barbershop used to be and walk by, you can't believe it. They're going to tell me it's a lie. Navajas didn't start from here. Navajas started from there. Well, obviously, it was through a lot of effort with a team, with 1,000 things, but it can be done. It can be done. It's not a question of if I could do it and you couldn't. Check out the networks. Look, on my Instagram is that photo of where Navajas started and where we ended up, and I think it will serve a tons as a motivation to fulfill your project. I believe my obsession with the project, how I fell in love with the product, the discipline, the failures, and the strength that I put in was the key to Navajas' success. Otherwise, there was no way. There is no way from being so low. If you do not put in all this that we are talking about, there is no way out. You can't deviate even an inch from all these topics that we touch on. It happened to me in the South. That was my click to come here to Buenos Aires and get my act together with my project that I come from work. I opened the door of my house and my whole family was depressed. They were down in the dumps. Caro had lost 44 pounds. My children cried every day. They were depressed. Well, I sat down and told them we're going back to Buenos Aires. We're coming back, but we're going to be worse off than before, because when I left, I lost my apartment, so I had to rent it again. They accepted, and when I got here, I told them, look, this is my project. We're going to do it. And well, he said, yes, I'll go with you. And well, we started with this project, but look, I work around the clock for this. Well, I put up with it for 20 years. I'm not going to put up with you another year. So my family put up with me with this new project, my 1,577th failure. And we started from scratch, and well, we put all our energy into this. Today, I can say that I have my whole family working at Navajas. The nicest thing that can happen to you is working as a family. So it's a tip for everyone.